No, I thought it was, I don't know. I mean,
you thought it was sexy, didn't
kind
you?
of.
Oh, man, you guys hear that? Dirty hands. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Tactical Baby Gear podcast. Got Brandy with us today.
And Hannah.
And Hannah in the hot seat. I was going to ask if you want to scoot a little closer, but you clearly can't. So, laid back.
Laid back.
With your mind on your money and your money on your mind. Anyways, listen, I was going to work on a submarine, but I think I'm going to quit. I'm under a lot of pressure. That was a really bad dad joke.
It had nothing to do with dads. Are they supposed to, or?
They're just bad jokes. What's the difference between a bad joke and a dad joke? The first letter.
I was going to say that too, but I thought that was a little too obvious.
I wanted to have you on because this could potentially be the last episode for you while pregnant.
Oh, it will be.
You're not going to come back?
I mean,
you got like 3 weeks left.
Yeah, but
See, I figured this would be the last one.
I think it will be.
I think I made the right call. We went to the doctor this morning. Let's recap. Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
What did the doctor say? They said, well, first of all, we went because it was just like,
week,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, last week I had 36-week checkup. Or
35, I think. Today was 36.
I know.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Whatever.
A checkup. Weekly
anyway,
checkup.
A checkup. Yeah, because I'm doing the weekly ones now. And because Cameron and Kendall were both big babies, the doctor suggested doing like a growth check, which I think is common now. I don't know. I mean, we didn't do that with either of the other two, but he said because, it'd be a good idea just to get an idea.
Well, he also was like, there's a lot of baby in there.
Well, yeah, when I laid back, he could tell. I could tell you there's a lot of baby in there. I mean, it's all baby in there. But anyway, so yeah, he wanted to do a growth check just to see so we can kind of prepare for big baby or
not.
And I guess they're reliable within a like plus or minus a pound. So, which is pretty, gives you a general idea.
You told me last night or yesterday or whatever, but you said that from this point they're growing a half a pound a week. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's a lot for 4 weeks.
I mean, that's average.
2 pounds.
Yeah.
Or a pound and a half to 2 pounds from here, and it's already what they said today based on this what do they call it? A growth something?
Growth ultrasound. I mean,
so it's an ultrasound. It's an ultrasound. They
Yeah.
measure the size of the head, they measure the legs and arms, and then they kind of get an idea of like the general size of the baby, and then it gives you like this calculated weight that is, like she said. Producer T-Dog. They give you a calculated weight of estimated weight of the baby.
Yeah.
Your guess and my guess were both 7.5 pounds is what they would estimate today. Cameron said 7 pounds and Kendall said 7.5 pounds. And the actual estimated weight was 6 pounds 9 ounces.
So it could be 7.5 pounds.
It's potential.
Or 5.5 pounds.
It could be, yeah.
But
Cameron's guess was the closest, though.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll win a prize tonight. I don't know what it is. Maybe a cookie.
Some banana pudding from Cherry Point.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool, interesting. We didn't do that in the past. They weren't like, let's.
No, I think that might be like a newer thing, like because
so much has changed since the last time. Because I mean, it's been 7 years since we went through this. And I mean, there's a lot of things that are different. Are there any big noticeable changes from your point of view? I mean, obviously, like you're more involved with the doctor visits. Like I haven't been to every single one of them, but I've been to a lot of like the big ones.
Well, I always thought they started the cervix checks at 36 weeks. I feel like that's what they started doing with the other two. But they don't do that now, which is fine with me. I mean, I was, they offer to do it, but they don't really start doing it till 38 weeks because she
unless
said,
there's a reason to.
Yeah, and I'm not showing any symptoms of anything. So I was
Right.
like, no, it's fine. We don't need to do that. But I swear they did that with the other two. Like I always had in my head 36 weeks is when they started. But I could be totally wrong. I don't know. It's been so long.
You've been wrong before, but not often. You're almost always right.
That's right. And I mean, that's really,
you've had more ultrasounds this time than
because there's been a couple
like just weird
situations.
Like weird symptoms or things.
Well, when we went to the hospital for the...
That's right. We had to go to the hospital. There was you were having
check and then this.
So you've gotten quite a few ultrasounds.
Yeah.
It was cool today. So when I got to see the ultrasound today, that was the first one I've seen since the anatomy scan when we found out it was a girl. And you've seen her probably twice since in between then. And this is the first time I've seen. So it was really cool to kind of see her again and see her moving around. And
at the last ultrasound, the fluid check one, you could see all of her hair, which I could tell you because I've had really bad heartburn. And apparently that's like, thing. I mean, I don't know if that's like an old wives' tale or not, but it was really cute to see all the hair.
Yeah.
She didn't point that out today or anything, but.
I was looking for it though, because you told me that. And I was like trying to.
Her head,
she's a hairy baby.
She didn't really show the head very much because she was kind of faced. She said she's starting to face downwards.
Kendall, I'm trying to remember Cameron and Kendall when they were born. I know Kendall had dark hair, but it was thin. It was really thin, dark hair, right?
She had more hair than Cameron. Cameron, right?
That's what I'm trying to remember. It's so funny because in the moment you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is the thing. I'll never forget this. This is such a moment." And then here we are, like, maybe
Kendall had a lot. Kendall had a decent amount of hair. I feel like, and Cameron did not.
I feel like, I think you're right. I think Cameron had like very little peach fuzz that was like strawberry blonde. Mm-hmm. And you would stick a little bow clip in
on the one little piece of hair.
3 little hairs sticking up off the top of her head. It was hilarious. I'm like, get that off her head. You're like, that's so cute. I mentioned that to Jade a few weeks ago. We were talking about baby stuff, and she's like, oh yeah, I totally did the same thing. You know, I'm like,
I would stick more than one bow. I would do two little pigtail bows.
They looked like little antennas sticking up off their heads. It was like 3 little hairs stuck in these little bow clip things. It was hilarious. So funny. But yeah, but what's really interesting is that Kendall, though, had super dark hair. It all fell out and came back like platinum blonde.
Yeah.
And she still has really thin hair.
Yeah.
Cameron has thick hair. Yes. And it is hard to manage.
It is hard.
There's a lot of it. She needs a haircut.
She has like adult hair. Like, she has my hair.
That was a struggle. We were just talking about that the other day, like trying to find someone to cut her hair. And like, she's beyond just needing like a trim, and she's not like,
I can't take her to Great Clips and expect it to,
right.
She needs some styling.
Right. She's almost 10. She's not just like getting a little trim, like a little tiny, like a little 5-year-old haircut. Yeah. Like she needs like a legit women's haircut. And we know some stylists and some, what do you call, it's not a barber. What do you call a woman's?
Yeah, like a stylist, hairstylist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we don't do kids. Or they're so booked up this or that or whatever. It's like, where do you take a 10-year-old to get their hair done?
We need a good, cute little like spa for like tweens.
Like youth. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So.
I need to hit up Megan Evigan. See if she'll hook us up. Help us out. Good reminder. I'm going to make myself a note of that right now so I don't forget again.
Yeah. Both girls need a good.
So today at the doctor's appointment, there's a couple things that were discussed. You had some labs done at the last one.
Oh yeah, to check my platelets because my platelets have been kind of low. Nothing serious or overly concerning.
Yeah, they're like safe threshold. She said was.
So I don't remember that ever being like a thing or ever hearing about that. Maybe I didn't have low platelets before,
and they weren't concerned about it.
Yeah,
maybe they checked it and never brought it up because it was like a non-issue. So you just
they checked it when they did my glucose test. So I never remember hearing about platelets.
When they recently when they did the glucose test or last time?
No, this time.
But that wasn't. They did the glucose test.
And then they just check your platelets, your hemoglobin, all that stuff, like to make sure you're not anemic and all that, which I'm not. So
cool. So that's the blood work. Everything else was good.
Yeah, everything's fine. I think it's just a waiting game at this point. She said,
do you prefer the baby come sooner or later? Sooner. You're ready. You're just done.
Well, once I get to a certain point, like once I get to 37 weeks, like I'm down to have a baby whenever she feels
that's
like
coming. Next week.
Yeah, it's in a few days.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, you want.
Of course.
But she's
let's talk about the practice breathing thing.
Oh, yeah.
So the baby, last night, we were laying in bed, and you're like, was it last night? I think it was last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I laid down in bed for like 5 minutes before I started my night shift. I'm working till 11:30. Anyways, you're like, feel this. And I'm feeling the baby, and it felt like little kicks. It was like happening really fast, but you couldn't like feel like these feet like you would normally feel the feet and like a limb touching you. But these were just like these things. I was like, I don't know that's hiccups. Like,
yeah,
it's too
it was really fast
to be. It was like really kind of quick. It's like that's too fast to be hiccups. She feels like she's just in there kicking you crap out of you.
But it wasn't kicks, so it was like,
it wasn't
what
kicks.
is it?
I'm like, yeah, that's so weird. What is that? Maybe is she trying to roll over? Like, what's going on? So, anyways, today at the ultrasound, she pointed out we could see her heart and her lungs, and you could see that she was breathing. And she's like, oh, she's practice breathing. This is great. This is them like kind of getting ready to come out and all these things. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that's what we were feeling last night. You know, it felt like hiccup. She's like, yep, that's exactly what it is. Like they're kind of breathe. This freaks me out. Like when people actually talk about it, because I feel like I'm drowning, but they're like, yeah, they're breathing in the fluid and they're expelling it, but it's like a hiccup. And when someone says to me like breathing in fluid, I'm like, oh my God, the baby's in there drowning. It freaks me out.
It is kind of crazy when you think about it.
Freaks me out. Like, you know how I feel about babies and water and bathtubs and pools, and like, it freaks me out. I want to make sure that we do a better job with Hannah with like swim lessons early on and all that stuff. We spend so much time in and around the water, and we didn't do that with Cameron and Kendall. We would just always had our hands on them, and we were very cautious. We didn't leave them alone in a bathtub, and we didn't spend a lot of time at pools early on either.
Not really.
Until they got a little older, and then we were back into the boats, and then they were jumping in the water and play. So they learned to swim, and they're fine, and all that kind of stuff. But we never did swim lessons or anything like that. But I think we should definitely do that with Hannah. Yeah, because we spend a lot of time in the water.
Yeah, especially now. I think it's definitely important. But the practice breathing,
it was interesting.
I still didn't quite understand what she was saying about it. She said it was a really good sign.
I think it's helping. They're like,
she's like getting ready.
They're ready to like it's like they're learning to breathe and use their lungs and do it. Yeah. Super, super weird.
Anyway, and she said the baby was very low. Head was down low, which I could tell you that.
Everything. Yeah. She's like, oh, her head's down here. She's low. You're like, oh, I could tell you that. You said last night you got out of bed, you had a cramp.
Yeah, I get these really bad cramps on either side randomly, like when I'm sleeping sometimes. So I literally the only thing I can do is get up and like grab my belly, pull it up, and start walking around. And like when I did that last night, I mean, I felt like a head. I was like, I'm literally grabbing this kid's head and like pulling her up because she's leaning on something, and it was like really painful. It was getting to the point where it's going to be really painful, and I was able to catch it before it did. But it's like she just like leans on. I don't know if it's like my ovaries or what. But
during the ultrasound, she was saying too, she's like, her feet are up here, her head's down here, and when she kicks, it's pushing her. It's causing her head to push down on your bladder. She's like kicking from up top. It's pushing your head down more right into your bladder. And she's like, that's why you have to pee. It's like she's just headbutting your bladder.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hannah. Really appreciate that.
But they said they can't tell the length of the baby.
Because it's all curled up. She's got her legs kind of like tucked behind her a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I've got notes here. Sorry, that's why I'm looking at my phone. I think we should do a little bit of a recap over the several trimesters, if there's any notable things to talk about, or do you have a favorite best and worst trimesters? Like, well,
obviously the second's always the best. I mean, like
it's the most easy go. Like the beginning of the second trimester.
The first trimester was really bad for me. Like I feel like I was sick, miserable, and like I felt like you
were super nauseous, but you never really threw up, right?
No, but I was always nauseous. Nothing ever made me feel better. I was exhausted all the time, which I just don't remember that with the other two at all. It's so weird.
We didn't have time to be exhausted.
I know. I think it's because I was working full time with both the other two, and I mean, I didn't have time to sit around and feel tired. Like I just had to.
We just had to go.
Yeah.
We were just
and this time, but the kids were home from school because the homeschooling, all that.
Right.
So that was, it was just really rough.
It's a completely different dynamic in general. Like even if the kids were in school, it's a different dynamic because now it's like we got to get them home. We're doing homework, all this stuff. You're pregnant. Before, Cameron was so young with Kent when you were pregnant with Kendall that it was just like drop her off from daycare to daycare, pick her up from daycare, cook dinner.
Yeah.
And it's not like we had homework and this and that and all these activities.
There's a lot more going on.
And then when you mix COVID in with that, and it's like they're never out of the house, and we got all these different things going on. And
so that was rough. And then the second trimester was, I mean, I don't really have any complaints about it, and most people don't. Most of the time, the second trimester is like the best for everybody. I wasn't overly big. I could still fit into most of my stuff, and I didn't feel sick.
Yeah, you were feeling a lot better. You got some energy back.
And third trimester has been it's been borderline like the worst, actually. I don't know if it's been worse than the first or not. But it's just I feel like I complain a lot.
Yeah. I would agree with that. But
I just can't move. Like I literally can't walk up the stairs without losing my breath.
And imagine if you were still working at the lighthouse.
I don't know how I did it.
Brandy worked. She was like assistant manager of the lighthouse of the lighthouse that's here. It's like the landmark of Hilton Head, and she'd worked there. How long did you work there? Like 15 years?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 15.
Up and down the stairs, because you could work downstairs or you could work upstairs. Like the person downstairs was taking money and putting wristbands. It was like the admission type stuff. Little gift shop downstairs, but then at the top of the lighthouse there was a gift shop and all that kind of stuff. But whether you worked upstairs or downstairs, you were going up and down one way or the other.
Yeah, and with the other two pregnancies, until with Kendall, because Kendall had to go on bed rest for a while. So after that, Nadia would not let me go upstairs. Yeah. And I wasn't working after that anyway. But with Cameron, I literally was up climbing the lighthouse.
How many stairs are there?
114.
It's your favorite question ever. How much does it cost to go up? Who knows now?
I don't know now. It was $375, I think, when I left.
People used to get so upset about it too.
Which is so bizarre to me because it does cost money to run a lighthouse, like the electricity bill itself is
employees and everything else.
Like what do you anyways.
Maintenance.
But I climbed the stairs all through my third trimester with Cameron. There's no way. I mean, I would die if I had to do that now.
You were a lot younger then too, though. I mean, not to say you're old, but that was 9 years ago.
Solid decade.
That was younger, 9 years ago.
I guess. But I'm still in good shape. But the thing is I was in great shape before I got pregnant with this baby and with Hannah. And I cannot walk up a flight of stairs right now. And
our house is raised too. So the only way in and out is up and down a flight of stairs.
And then I almost die every time because the kids throw all their crap all over the stairs. So
their shoes and everything
I'm
else.
surprised I haven't tripped and fallen yet.
You know who else can't go up and down the stairs very well anymore?
Hans. I know.
Poor old dog. Every night, like he lays down for a while at night next to me while I'm working, When he gets up and I take him downstairs to go outside and stuff, he is falling and sliding down the stairs. I think his legs are asleep because after a few minutes of walking around, he's fine and he's up and down the stairs.
Yeah, but don't German Shepherds have issues with their hips though? Is that like a thing?
Typically, yeah. But it's like I don't really know the ins and outs of that. I'm not a vet, and but no, I'm not surprised. There's a lot of things I know and I'm good at, and there's stuff that I don't know anything about. Hip dysplasia, though, I feel like Travis, you might know. Hip dysplasia it's kind of like they have it or they don't. They can't kind of have it, right?
Yeah, especially at his age. I mean, usually once it's 12, it's pretty early onset if they're going to have it or not.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's like by like 5 or 6, like if they're walking weird or they have a really slant back.
Yeah.
That can kind of cause it, but his back's pretty straight and he walks around fine.
Yeah, he's good. He's just getting old, I think his leg just falls asleep or something while he's laying funny and then he gets up and I've got weird circulation problems issue. And sorry, I'm going to bounce back to the German Shepherd thing because that was a thing that we were concerned about with Ranger. We had a German Shepherd growing up. His name was Ranger, and he didn't have hip. I feel like it's an arthritis thing or something that you develop at a later age.
Yeah.
I might be completely wrong. Someone correct me in the comments because I have no idea what I'm talking about.
They get around fine.
Yeah. Anyways, I was going somewhere after that for a second, but I can't remember.
So do you have circulation problems?
Right. Thank you. That's why
welcome.
I keep you around, Brandy. My hands, this came up I started thinking about this after your dad had carpal tunnel surgery. And I was like, I wonder if that's what I got going on. Because there's like certain things, and I think it's just a circulation issue. But like when I sleep on my back and I'll have my arms on my chest like this, and I'll wake up and my hands are completely asleep. Like numb, tingly, no feeling. And it's usually these 3 fingers. And I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I can't feel them. And it feels like, like in school when you used to like fall asleep on your hands on your desk or something. And no,
I never fell asleep at school.
You're such a good student.
I was such a good student.
Liar. You're probably actually being.
I was a great student, actually.
Yeah. So. Not me. I was asleep and I had to cheat my way through school. Not really.
Don't admit that.
There were maybe a couple of tests here and there. I had to get through somehow.
I was way too scared to ever do something like that.
You're such a goody two-shoes.
Well, I didn't need to cheat actually to pass a test, so.
I think she's calling me stupid. Anyways, but I have to straighten out my arms for like 30 seconds and then I can start feeling like the feeling back. And then I'm afraid to go back to sleep. I'm like, don't cross my arms. Don't cross my arms. But I don't know what that's all about. I remember, and like my hands hurt so bad. But
I know
after
you've been
15
complaining
years of
about that since I've known you.
I know, but
Your hands hurting.
Abused these hands, after all the car work, and I've done some really dumb things that like they teach you not to do. Like don't use your fist or your hand like a hammer. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's like young people do it when you're an idiot and you're young and you're 20 years old and think that you just pound things with your hand instead of grabbing a tool. Like even putting hubcaps back on a wheel, like you pop the hubcaps off, you do what you got to do to this car, and then you like smack them back on with your hand. They're like, don't do that. Get a rubber mallet and knock them on, but that takes time, and you're trying to move fast. And the faster you move, the more money you make. So you're just pounding stuff with your hand. It's like what you do.
Well, I think you need to go to a doctor.
And then whatever else, you blast your knuckles because some bolt breaks or the tool breaks. And anyways, my hands are a mess. They hurt really bad, but they're cleaner than ever. Look how beautiful my hands are.
I know. They're very white and freckly.
And
you can see that now.
Yeah. They were stained
they were like
for years.
Black for years.
Like just dirty, greasy, nasty fingernails. I can't believe you ever let me touch you. Were you disgusted by it when we met?
No, I thought it was, I don't know. I mean,
you thought it was sexy, didn't
kind
you?
of.
Oh, man, you guys hear that? Dirty hands. Okay. Anyways, that's funny. Back to the parenting stuff here. I mean, I'm sure people want to hear that too. It's funny. It's good. It's good stories. So Hans can't get up and down the stairs. You are not getting up and down the stairs.
I'm getting up and down the stairs, just barely though.
Oh man.
You've taken over a lot of the household.
Oh,
pretty much everything.
Have I ever? Yes,
you cook pretty much every night.
I've been doing that since like COVID started. We used to not cook anything ever.
Yeah.
Like we are the worst people at cooking at home. We're like, we eat out all the time and it's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful. We're way better now though.
Yeah. I just don't like to cook. So I would cook if people would actually eat what I cook, but because what I like to cook, no one else will eat. It's like not fun for me to cook.
Maybe it's not always the best cooking.
My
either.
chili is literally the best chili you will ever eat, and no one will eat it.
I don't eat chili.
Actually,
Travis,
you've had my chili. It's good, right?
Yeah, you cooked it for me a few times.
Yeah.
I ate it.
Okay.
Yeah, and a mean Bloody Mary, but you're not making those right now.
I know. I made a virgin one time in my second trimester.
Oh my gosh,
It didn't do the trick.
No, it's
It
missing
was
the main
pointless.
ingredient.
Yeah, the vodka really makes it. Yeah.
You drank, was it margarita mix?
Oh, with Cameron.
Oh my!
I never was more sick in my life because I was craving margarita mix. Yeah, early on when I was pregnant with Cameron, and I remember we went to Publix and bought some. We were going to my parents' house for something. I don't know. We went to Publix and bought some, and you were like, "Are you sure you want to buy this and drink it?" Just like the mix.
Like, I just need a little bit. Like
I drank the whole bottle of this margarita mix, and I don't think I have ever been that sick. And it was the gross, cheap, like gross, bright green, neon green stuff. Like not even like good stuff. It was just probably the cheapest stuff on the shelf.
Yeah, we were poor.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
You just like, I have this craving. I need this. Drink this now. It's so funny, like how that works. What other cravings have you had this time around? Anything like awkward or weird or notable?
Nothing weird, but I like plums. I've been eating. I'm very particular about my plums, so they're not always good plums in the store, so I haven't been able to eat them like consistently because I like a nice firm plum and a nice firm
You're
kiwi.
very, very particular about your fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, we went over that last time.
Did we? Oh God.
So plums and like kiwi. I like to sit in the bath and eat a plum. I don't know. It's just like what I've been doing. Every night after dinner, I sit in the bath and eat a plum.
I guess you could have worse habits.
But no, I haven't had any weird cravings. Gummy bears I've been eating like crazy, which I've stopped buying because I've got to chill.
You quit buying Oreos too, and I'm not happy about that.
You've gotten by though.
Forgetting, and I think it's her way of saying I'm cut off.
Well, the kids sit there and eat rows of them too. I don't want the kids sitting at the table and eating like 15 Oreos.
They're plant-based. They're basically like vegan.
They are vegan. No, they aren't basically. They are vegan. But we're not vegan, so that's not really.
But it makes me feel better about eating them. I feel like I'm doing the right thing. Oh, gosh. I haven't been to the gym in a while, speaking of all that. So it's probably best that I haven't eaten any cookies.
Okay, so you're welcome.
I'm going to go back soon. Well, after the baby. It's probably going to be like another 2 months before I can actually get back. I just get my schedule lately. Forget about it. There's just no shot. No shot. You're not getting up and down the stairs, but you went camping.
Yes.
We talked about this with Alex on the last episode. Is that right, Joe?
It really wasn't that bad. I was actually very concerned about it.
Yeah, and everyone else was concerned about it for you too. Like people who knew that you were going, they were like, even like Emily, and it's like, she's going. She's gonna. That pregnant girl that's like ready to have a baby is gonna go sleep in a tent. Yep.
Yeah, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, honestly.
I made it. It was
the first night was rough.
Well, it's because the raccoons were like absolute maniacs.
And it was just like getting used to the air mattress. But the second and third night, I slept pretty well, actually. Like it wasn't.
You got up, the first night you got up more than any other night to pee.
Yeah, probably.
For sure. And then the second night, like each night got progressively better.
Well, I made you get up and go with me too. Because even though
the raccoons were
like everywhere. And I was not trying to get like, I don't know.
Yeah, you ain't running from no raccoon that's like have you told the story on here about the raccoon that chased you as a child?
I don't think so. That's crazy.
Yeah, tell it. Let's tell it.
I was probably Kendall's age, and we lived in a neighborhood right next to a marina, Palmetto Bay Marina. So people from Hilton Head would know. We lived in Bay Pines, and my parents had the boat at Palmetto Bay. So anyway, my parents worked at Palmetto Bay, so it was, right next door. So they weren't typically home when we'd get home on the bus after school. And they'd always leave the doors open because we had a bunch of animals. So, and my parents still do that weird. Like, that's how so many bugs and like creepy crawlers get in, because they just leave the doors open so the animals can go in and out.
Yes.
Anyway, so they did that. We had a sliding back door that we had like a Carolina. Is that what they're called?
It's like a sunroom.
Like a sunroom type deal. And then we had a sliding glass door that would lead to the backyard, and we'd leave that open for the animals, dogs and cats, to go in and out. And anyway, I got home. I don't know where my sister was. I don't think she must have gone home with a friend or gone over to somebody's house. I don't know. She wasn't home. It was just me. And I went into the kitchen to get something out of the fridge, and I heard this weird like meowing sound. And I was like, that's kind of weird. It doesn't really sound like a cat, but I just kind of assumed it was one of the cats wanting to eat. But I remember it being a very different kind of meow. And I looked down the hall to my parents' room, and there was a raccoon standing there, like yelling at me. And I was like, I don't think the raccoon should be in the house. I just looked at it for a second. I wasn't sure what to do. And we used to catch, my dad's like,
he's like this crazy Mr. Reptile.
Yeah. So we had all kinds of crazy snakes. Like we had a raccoon at one point. Like my dad caught a raccoon and we had it just like in a cage for a little while and just to play with it. It was like, and then we'd let it go. We had literally everything you can imagine. So I wasn't scared of it necessarily right away, but it's something about it just kind of freaked me out. The way it was, it was just looking at me like, so I just started backing up slowly and it would start walking closer to me. So eventually I was just like, I think I should just run out of the house because I don't know, it just freaked me out. So I started screaming and running and I looked behind me and it was chasing me. And we had our dog Trout.
What kind of dog was that?
She was a half chow, half golden retriever.
Okay. So good sized dog.
Yeah, medium. I mean, she was whatever, but she was really fluffy, because she had that chow in her. And I started screaming and running, and our house wasn't big or anything, but as a little kid, it felt huge. So it felt like forever to get to the door. Yeah. So, I mean, I literally looked behind me and I was like, it was inches away from getting me, and I tripped and my dog jumped on the raccoon. Like literally saved me because we came to find out that the raccoon had rabies. So I called, I don't know if I called my mom and she called animal control or something. And they came and the cop was like asking me questions, or the control officer, I don't know. But it was almost like they didn't believe me.
How old were you at the time again?
Like Kendall's age.
7.
Yeah, something like that. And like he didn't really take me seriously because they couldn't find the raccoon anywhere. But Trout had bite marks on her. Like, so clearly she was bitten by something. Long story short, a neighbor, and I want to say it was Lindsay Cole's house.
way.
Yeah, I'm not positive. I could be totally wrong.
That would be wild.
That the kids were jumping on their trampoline and the raccoon, or it was her neighbor, a couple of the kids down the street had a raccoon. Anyway, the raccoon was on their trampoline. They called animal control. Animal control ended up shooting it. And then weeks go by, they tested it, or a week, I don't know how long, found out it was rabies positive. And then we had to make a decision with our dog because Trout, I mean, she saved my life. And so my mom took her to, asked around several vets what to do. 3 out of 4 told them just to put her to sleep because she was bitten by a rabid raccoon. I mean, the chances of her contracting rabies was pretty high. And one vet said, well, you could give her the benefit of the doubt. And we ended up having to do like a quarantine with not DHS. DHEC. Yeah. So my dad we had a playhouse in our backyard. So we used that as her quarantine spot. And then she had to be quarantined in a cage within a cage I used to say 9 months, but that's way too long. I think it was like 9 weeks or something like that. I really can't remember the exact, but yeah, long story short, she never ended up contracting the rabies. And she saved me. I mean, could you imagine if I got bit by a rabid raccoon? I mean, I was inches away from getting.
Yeah. What are the side of what happens to humans in that case?
I think you can. I mean, you can probably die from it, but I think what happens is you have to go get like a ton of shots, like all kinds of stuff.
This is back in early 90s too. So who knows?
Yeah, but it was crazy. I mean, it was one of the craziest stories of my life.
That is wild. So I kind of forgot about that when we're camping and there's all these raccoons. Were you like freaked out?
To be honest with you, it didn't really traumatize me. Like raccoons don't really scare me because I know the difference between a rabid raccoon and like I know that.
Well, that one was out during the day.
Raccoons they're not going to fuss with you or anything.
Right.
But yeah, if there's one out during the day acting weird, like I'm not going anywhere near it. Obviously, but they don't bother me.
Right.
I don't know.
I think the kids were obviously super freaked out the first night camping and Tyler Smith warned me about this. I don't want to repeat it too much because I talked about it on the last episode, but there was dozens of them, of these raccoons and coming into the campsite. And we hear some ruffling around and your dad had a bag of Five Guys under the car we were like, what is under the car? And then we shoot them off and I look and I go under there and it's a bag that still had some peanuts in it or something from Five Guys. And it was one thing or another every night. It was something got left. And then the third night we had policed the whole campsite. We're all right, there's nothing for them to get into. I had taken some like the grease from the grill and like dumped it out to like just keep them like, here's a target. Here's something for you guys to mess with over here that just stay out of the campsite. Cause the kids were all like bothered by it. And then of all things, like the bag of trash, I forgot to like put up.
Yeah.
I was like worried about everything else. And then the bag of trash. And I'm like, what the heck is going on out here? So I look and I'm like, they're just hanging out, getting in the trash bag. I'm like, I forgot the trash bag of all. So I'm like,
I thought it was kind of fun. Like the second 2 nights after we got used to them and we realized like, they're just raccoons. They're not going to, they just want the
trash pandas.
Yeah. So it was fun. Like once it would start getting dark, sitting in the chairs and just like hearing the rustling.
Well, we knew when the sun goes down.
Yeah. As soon as the sun started going down, you would hear the rustling and you could get your flashlight and you could just see them coming. Kind of like The Walking
eyeballs.
Dead.
Yeah.
Like these. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was cool. And then we gave the kids lights and they were screwing around and lighting.
And they would literally just like walk next to you, like like no problem, not scared at all.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just probably so used to getting people's food.
Yeah.
But they weren't like, they were just being raccoons. Like,
yeah, they were harmless. And then the kids, after I think that second night when the kids like had the flashlights on them and Kendall was like, they're so cute. And then they weren't really concerned about them anymore and they didn't really care. So they slept way better that second night. They weren't freaked out by the raccoons. By the third night, they were like, whatever. So it progressively got better. The hardest part was like just entertaining the kids. You know,
yeah.
For me, that was like you had your own set of issues with being super pregnant and hardly mobile and whatever else. But in all, it was a good experience for you.
Yeah, I had fun.
You don't like regret going camping super pregnant?
No, next time we go camping, I'd like to go somewhere where there's more to do. Like I don't know. I feel like there wasn't a whole lot to do other than just kind of sit around.
For you?
Well, for me. Well, I know. You and my dad were doing a lot of cooking,
cleaning, fire, everything else.
But no, I think it was fun, mostly because the kids obviously had a good time. So
yeah. Is there anything that you wish you would have done or regret not doing this time around?
I wish I would have started working out like in the very beginning, and because now I feel like I'm so out of shape and so.
Well, round is a shape. That's what I tell myself all the time.
I just feel weak. I just feel weak. Like I don't like feeling like if I was in a predicament and had to run. I don't know. I can't do any. I just feel so weak and out of shape right now. But that's because I didn't work out at all. I started to try in the first trimester, but I was so sick. And then by the second time, and then after having that incident, like New Year's, I was kind of scared to start working out because like I didn't want to push my body. And then after what we experienced with Kendall, when I had some bleeding, I was like kind of worried that would happen again. So I just was.
You just laid low.
I just didn't want to push my body too much because I didn't know if that would. I don't know. I just didn't want to cause any problems for myself. But I just can't wait to have the baby and start like getting back into shape and working out. And I've never felt like I want to work out. Like it's not something I love to do, but I just feel so just weak, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
I was super pumped to like record and document like at least weekly all the things, make the videos and the vlogs and all the different things. And I think I made a total of maybe 3 videos, 2 videos for sure, maybe 3. I recorded other bits and pieces of things that never really made it to anywhere but a hard drive. And I wish I would have like pushed harder or taken more time to record those things and get that stuff. But the reality is we're super stinking busy.
There's
100,000 things going on. It's like the last thing I was thinking about. You didn't want to be on camera. You still don't want to be on camera. You hate being on camera.
I just feel gross. And, I'm just like, big and
you have
pregnant.
no interest in being on camera, hardly talking about it. You're like, I don't really care type. Not that you don't care, but
no, but when you're exhausted and uncomfortable,
like for me trying to film anything in the house, that's why I don't make videos from the house because it's loud. I mean, the kids are constantly screaming, the dog's constantly barking at something. It's just chaos at the house. So it's like, forget about it. So I wish I don't regret, but I just wish I would have filmed more and made more videos, kind of documenting it. I'll probably do one more this week, just to have a last one so that we can document you more in this state to look back at, because I feel like those are the cool things and the fun things to look back at.
Well, even if it's not perfect, like it doesn't have to be a perfect
no,
video.
it doesn't have to be.
Like,
it's just for us.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really care if it's, I'll put it on YouTube on my channel, but whether it performs or not is irrelevant. I don't really care. It's mainly for us to have as a memory and to share with for family or whoever. But yeah, I wish I would have filmed more. I'll do one more for sure, because and those are because those are the things I wish we had more of Cameron and Kendall. Like,
yeah.
Like, I wasn't really making videos back then. That was before, like, you could get a good, like, quality video camera. We also couldn't afford anything like that before. Yeah. So now it's like, and phone technology, like, you couldn't record videos like that on a phone before, and now you can. And so the only stuff we have of the kids is, like, pretty poor quality phone pictures and, like, maybe a few random videos. There's really not a lot. Yeah. So
that's true. I
wish I had more of this for Hannah to be able to look back at, but at any rate, we'll get one more. It'll be enough.
Yeah,
be better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
But cool. Anything else? I got nothing. I'm out of questions. T-Dog,
are the kids gonna help?
Oh yeah.
You think?
How do you think the kids are gonna react to this? Actually react, because they've had mixed. I think
the first week they'll be like all over it, and then they're gonna slowly start tapering off and like going back to just doing their own thing and not really being as like into changing the baby. And Kendall will want to probably dress the baby a lot, but I think outside of that, like, I don't know. The baby's just going to be sleeping a lot at first, and eating. It's not going to be as exciting, I think, as
they're going to want to hold the baby a lot.
Yeah.
The first few weeks. And it's going to be a very like, okay, you're going to be sitting down. You have to hold the baby. You have to support her head. You can't do this. You can't do that. You have to do this.
There's going to be a lot of rules, and then they're going to be like, this is not fun.
Yeah. That's realistically how that'll probably play out until she gets a little older and head support's not such a concern and that kind of stuff. But I think I would agree. I think they're going to be super excited and helpful in the beginning. And I think what they don't realize is the helpful side will be doing things for you. It'll be like, get me a bottle of water, get me this, get me gummy bears, whatever the case is. Can you pick this up? Can you go rinse off this pacifier? Like that kind of stuff. And I think they think it's going to be like feeding the baby, but when you're breastfeeding, it's hard for anyone else to feed the baby.
Yeah,
so that's going to be a situation.
I know.
And the other side of it too is like, I don't think we want to feed the baby from a bottle too soon, because that can really screw with the whole breastfeeding thing. But it would be nice though.
I know, but I want it like with Kendall. I don't think we had to introduce a bottle pretty early because she had to go back to daycare. But I think I waited about 2 months before I even attempted that. And she was fine. She did fine back and forth. Mm-hmm. I just don't want it. I like breastfeeding. Like it's just something I want to do. I just enjoy doing it. It's just easier to me than bottle feeding. And some people think opposite. But for me, I just found it so much easier and more convenient. And I just enjoyed doing it. So
I think the kids are going to be freaked out by that.
Yeah, they're going to be weirded out. They're going to be like looking at so I'm going to have to explain like, this is normal. But yeah, so I think we'll wait a couple months, but I know they're going to want to feed, and I want them to be able to feed her. So I want her to use a bottle, because obviously, I want other people to be able to feed her. That's going to need to happen at some point.
At some point, yeah. So the funny thing though, is Kendall, Kendall's going to get jealous. Cameron's going to be fine. I don't think she's going to be.
And I think
she's a little older, so I think she'll be more helpful than not. Kendall is going to be super excited. And then she's going to go through like a jealousy stage of, I'm not the center of attention anymore. She's already voiced her concern about, she was having a fit maybe a month or so ago. And, I said something about, aren't you excited for your sister? She's like, I don't want the baby, and I was like, Kendall, that's not nice. You can't say that. Why would you say that? She's like, well, I'm not going to be the cutest one anymore. I'm like, oh, come on. And then I was like, you're always the cutest. And then Cameron's like, well, I'm not the cutest. I'm like, Well, you're the cutest and you're the prettiest. Like I
just tell them, Cameron, you're the cutest 9-year-old in the world. Kendall's the cutest 7-year-old in the world.
Yeah.
But then Kendall has a problem being told that she's 7, so I can't win with
forever. I when she was 5, I said, "Will you be 5 forever? Stay 5 forever. Don't quit growing up." Blah blah. She's like, maybe like this pinky promise, and still to this day, if you ask her how old she is, she'll tell you 5. It's hilarious.
Cute.
And then when her birthday was coming up, I was like, "Kendall, your birthday is coming up. You're gonna be 7." She's like, "No, I'm 5."
Yeah.
She's like sticking to it. It's pretty funny. It's cool. But she's growing up quick. It's hard to think that she's 7, almost 7.5. Actually, yeah, she'll be 7.5 in July.
Yeah.
And she's still in our eyes, I think she still is that 5-year-old. But she's really grown up.
It's gonna be, I think once the baby
she can
comes,
write bad 4-letter words down on paper now.
It's true. I think once the baby comes, we're gonna see how big the other two really are. Like, once you have like
the perspective of just
it's gonna be like, wow,
teeny little baby, and then they're gonna seem like teenagers
or 7-year-old. Yeah.
Ugh. Man, oh man.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for coming back and talking to us.
You're welcome.
You're everyone's favorite guest.
As it should be.
Guys, thanks for listening and watching. Make sure you like, comment. Is that what I usually say? Like, comment, leave the ratings, reviews, all that kind of stuff. We would appreciate it. Don't forget that this is available on YouTube. If you're only listening to it and you want to see the video version on YouTube, check that out as well on the Tactical Baby Gear YouTube channel. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.